Elizabeth Warren with Chris Matthews. Chris?
Thank you. Well, Elizabeth Warren, I think you won tonight. And there's no reason I do this. I've been watching these debates all my life. And I thought, just talk about this, because you only got a few minutes. I thought that you had a consistent, even relentless message of populism. Pure American populism. Going back to William Jennings Bryan, we in the country have got to bring down the power of the big shots economically, and we got to disperse that power among the people.
This is why I'm running for president. Look, we have a country that works great for a thinner and thinner and thinner slice at the top. And this has been going on a long time. It started long before Donald Trump got here, but now it has really taken off. Our big chance in 2020 is not to try to roll back the clock, not to come up with some small ideas about we'll make a change here and a change over there. It's to make big systemic change, to take this corruption head on, to reset this economy and these politics and make it work for the people.
We had lunch about a year and a half ago, and I think it was on the record, and I'll now challenge that. I think it was. You made a point that you're a Democrat.
Yeah.
You're not a socialist, but you want to do something with the market to make it better.
Yeah.
What, succinctly, what separates you from Bernie Sanders in the sense of you're both talking, you should use a word, by the way, used to use in the 60s, kind of scared me, structural change.
Yeah.
That's very ideological. So what do you mean by it?
No, it's real. It says, look, right now we've got a political problem, and that is money makes its way felt in every decision in Washington. Campaign contributions, lobbyists, dark money, bought and paid for.
Can you tell when a colleague has been bought when you're in a markup?
Oh, come on.
Can you tell?
Look at the votes.
Can you tell when a colleague has been bought? Can you tell?
Sometimes.
Okay.
And sometimes you gotta wonder.
Yeah.
Okay, but understand, Chris, that's like looking at this thin slice of it. It's not only the campaign contributions, it's how many times have their lobbyists been in to talk to the staffers? How many times have bought and paid
how do they
for
grease their way in? How do they grease their way in?
They grease their way in 40 ways. How about the revolving door?
Yeah.
You watch these guys. Did you read Jack Abramoff's book? You know what Jack Abramoff said?
I don't think I'd want to, but go ahead.
Oh, but you should. You know, you need to
He's
learn
the guy that
from
represented the Indian tribes.
He's
exploited the hell out of them.
He is the guy who exploited everyone for money, and that was the whole point. You know what he used to talk about? He used to talk about how he would say to young staffers, you know, when you're through being a staffer, come over to our shop because we really think you have promise. And he would say at that point, he no longer had to stay after him. They would.
I know how this works.
So look,
they come around with their tans and their expensive suits, and they talk to the staffers about all the vacations they've been on and the golf clubs they're in, and they say, if you work with me from the inside, I may give you a job later. You know how it works.
So here's the deal. I have the biggest anti-corruption plan since Watergate. Here's the bad news.
Okay.
We need the biggest anti-corruption plan since Watergate, but we can attack this head on. And if we do, everything else we need to work on in the economy, in climate change, on guns, we'll have
You're on a roll, Senator, and I was watching you all night on the roll. So just hold for 1 second.
Okay.
Brian, back to you then. I think we're going back to the Senator.
Okay, we just have to air a piece of business. We're going to be away for approximately 60 seconds, and we're going to come back with more from Senator Warren. We are back, as promised. We're 45 seconds from the top of the midnight hour here in the East. Senator Elizabeth Warren remains with Chris Matthews. Chris?
We had Donnie Deutsch on, a real New Yorker, a big money guy in New York. I think he knows a lot of rich people, but that's fair enough. He says you'd get killed across the country, and I don't know whether he's speaking for that bubble against another bubble, but what's the reality of when you put your head together? You're not doing this just to win the nomination, right? No, I don't think so. So when you look ahead, and I'm sure when you go to bed at night, you're thinking, when it comes down to it, I got to beat this guy in the room.
Yeah.
Trump in the room, right? What's that going to be like?
So it's Trump in the room. Look, he's a bully. And the first thing school teachers learn is you never let bullies get away with it. You just have to stay. But here's the deal. You can't make this all about Donald Trump. He's an old show that people are getting tired of.
But he'll be there in your face.
I get it. But the truth is we have got to get out there. I'm going to be out there to talk about our affirmative vision. You know what people want to hear about? They want to hear about student loan debt. They want to hear about universal child care. They want to hear how I've got a plan for 1.2 million new manufacturing jobs across this country. They want to hear about how you really are going to break up those tech giants and big ag and the big banks, the guys who are just controlling.
You're taking on Jeff Bezos and those people? Okay, let's bring in Lawrence O'Donnell. He's been waiting to talk to you.
Senator Warren,
Senator Lawrence.
Senator Warren, there was some discussions about what to do with the tax code at the highest end. There were some references to some of the proposals you've made, but the question didn't go directly to you. What about your wealth tax? And if you're putting a wealth tax over $50 million, what would be the top income tax rate and the top income tax bracket that would accompany that?
So let's start with that wealth tax. So here's my proposal. It says that anyone who's got a fortune above $50 million, they're good on their first $50 million, but the $50 millionth and first dollar, they got to pitch in 2 cents, and 2 cents on every dollar after that. That is the top 1/10 of 1%. Now, take a deep breath and let me tell you what we can do with 2 cents. Universal child care for every baby age 0 to 5. Universal pre-K for every 3-year-old and 4-year-old in this country. Raise the wages of every child care worker and preschool teacher to the professional levels they deserve. Universal technical school, 2-year college and 4-year college for everybody who wants to give it a try. $50 billion into our historically black colleges and universities. Let's level the playing field and cancel student loan debt for about 95% of the kids who have student loan debt. That's what we can do with 2 cents. And the reason I want you to focus there for a minute is it tells you how broken this economy is. We keep focusing on income, and it matters. But what's happening is it's the accumulation of wealth, these giant fortunes that grow of themselves. They have their own money management teams that keep growing the wealth, so that 2 cents from those guys, think what that would mean and how it would begin to make structural change in this economy. And let me make just one more pitch. You know, the 99% last year paid about 7.2% of their total wealth in taxes. You know, that's the property taxes in every part of this. The top, they paid about 3.2%. I'm just asking them to pitch in 2 cents, just level the playing field a little bit. And we do that, and tens of millions of people in this country, suddenly they're in the game. They got a chance to build a future. That's the kind of America we could be.
Let me ask you about how you do this, because income taxes are basically raised by people being honest. The government doesn't audit everybody. They just don't. So you're basically, either you're afraid of imprisonment if you cheat, but usually people just say, okay, I got to pay this amount. At a certain point, we know about taxes. People reach the point and say, I'm not going to pay, it's too much. How do you evaluate the cost of people's paintings, of their real estate, of the old antique cars? What government agency would be capable of even guesstimating the value of someone's wealth?
Oh, come on.
How would they know? How would they do it?
Oh, come on. So let's start out with the fact, unlike income tax, which is literally about hundreds of millions of people, tens of millions of people, what we're talking about with wealth tax is 75,000 families. That's it. That's the whole deal.
Yeah.
And the way the law is written is to say wherever it's held, any place.
And who would go look for it?
So what we built right into the plan was far more sophisticated and more investment in the enforcement.
Oh, I bet.
So you bet, because there's real payoff for that enforcement.
So somebody comes around and says that penny's worth $10 million, pay up.
But do understand this. Those things are all valued right now.
Okay.
Those great fortunes right now, they've got their own teams of auditors. Okay. They're all there because they use them as collateral when they borrow money, when they make other investments.
You sound like you followed through with this. Thank you, Senator. And I did think you won tonight. Thank you very much for
Thank you.
Good luck.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.